Hey, it's the Right Rican, and today I'm not going to share no articles today. I'm not going to do none of that today. Today I'm going to talk about how people you need to focus on your local elections. And I always talking about that on my videos. I talk about it a lot. How locally it affects you in your day-to-day life more than affects than the national elections do. You want to change things nationally, you have to start locally. And I um, put actions to words. So I just came back from a local a local GOP event they're called the West End Republicans. It's a group where I live at, and that's what you have to do. You have to engage locally. And there was some candidates there. There was some chief of staffs from candidates, and that's how you get people to listen to you. You have to go and participate. You have to have your voice heard, because if you don't, then it's not. If you don't go to these places, these candidates can't hear from you. They can't. They can't change their stance on a position. You can't hear what their stance on is a position, and hear them speak and see if it's genuine or not. And it was had a great time meeting everyone. I'm just here want to thank looking at the names here, just while I'm looking down. It's on my phone. Laura Jecker for inviting me to go, and made um, made some contacts. Hopefully, I will have you will see stuff on my channel where involves this local stuff. It may not be stuff that might be people might not be interested in nationally, but it's stuff that I want to show people, not only stuff that goes on nationally, but locally, and show how you could exact change in in your area. And for especially for people of color, Latinos like me, you have to see when you go to a GOP event and you're a person of color, how much appreciation you get. They talk about they lie to us and tell us how the Republican Party is racist. And you want to see racism? Tell as a person of color, Latino, Black, express conservative ideas and see how quick they start calling you names. Okay, and then come back at me and tell me racism. Tell me what racism looks like, because that's when the fangs come out. When you tell someone who's a Democrat that you're a conservative or a Republican, forget about it. There's I would repeat the names, but I don't know if YouTube will allow it. Even though it's someone, a person of color, just repeating names that would be called. Um, so, you know, what, excuse me, that's what you got to do. You know, uh, you have to wake up. You have to wake up your friends, your family. You got, you can't stay in a bubble either. That's what I talked about at the meeting. I told them, my channel. Yes, I'm on Rumble, but I also stay on YouTube, because the fact that we cannot give up on these spaces. We have to stay in there and fight. We cannot retreat into our safe spaces or our echo chambers. We have to bring the fight to where the battle's at. And the battle's there in YouTube, the battle's there in Facebook, the battle's there in Twitter. We have to bring the fight there, because if not, all you do is talking to the choir. You're preaching to the choir, and you don't want that either. You want to be able to, wake up someone by going, "Oh, look, listen here." Like for me, maybe, look at there's another Puerto Rican that thinks like me. Maybe maybe we could uh I don't know. You could go, okay, well, we're not alone. No, you're not alone. Whether you're, whether you're Latino, Black, you're not alone. There's conservatives out there, there's Republican out there, and they share your values. Even if you do it in silence, but you can't be silent. Now's not the time for silence. Now's the time to be vocal and fight. You have to you have to use the opportunities that are given to you. Like I said, I said it yesterday. When my mother was complaining about the high taxes and the high prices of groceries and the high prices of gas, what did I tell her? You get what you vote for, and that's what you got to do. You got to tell them, you see that opportunity, seize it, and tell them you get what you vote for. And when they tell you Trump was no better, really? Didn't here Pennsylvania, your gas was cheap when Trump was president. It's gone up. Um, what? It's gone up $1 a gallon in just uh what 8 months. We're in. We're about to be in June, but it started once Trump lost the election. The prices went up, and it's been skyrocketing since the beginning of the year. And that's policy makes a difference. Shutting down pipelines getting attacked. This is its policies make a difference, and you got to show them. For all the complaining that people did about how Trump was bad on immigration, well, let me ask you, what's worse? Okay, disincentivizing people coming here illegally and making a dangerous journey in deserts, or having to deal with coyotes bringing people here and making them basically indentured servants for these people, because that's what happens with these coyotes that bring people from like Honduras and Guatemala and all those Central American countries. They still got to pay those coyotes when they come out here, because they threaten those people's families. That's what those people do. So you want to talk about, so what's more just? What's more humane? Is it more humane disincentivizing those people to come here, or going, "Hey, you might have a chance to get here if you just come in now," you know, and now you have these detention centers with these uh s- you know uh uh these migrant children that are there, and you have all these thousands of kids, because now people are like, oh, it's now there's a chance. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to happen for sure. But even if these people come in here illegally, they're second class citizens, because they don't because they came here illegally, they don't have any rights. So it's a lose-lose system. Trump was just stopping the incentivization of these people coming here. It wasn't a bad plan. But look what happened once he lost. Look at the the bottleneck that's going on now. But like I said, use those moments to talk to people and just be like, look, listen, even if, let's say, even if, even though Trump does look like Trump's going to run again in 2024, but even if Trump, let's say Trump doesn't win the nomination, what if DeSantis runs also and he wins the nomination? Although I think what's going to end up happening is going to be a Trump DeSantis ticket this time around. And then DeSantis could piggyback that into the presidency the next term. That's that's what you use. You use these opportunities to tell people, look, listen, yeah, okay, you know, look, listen, you can't try to defend everything that Trump does and says. That's the mistake. If you go at it trying to defend what he says and sometimes what he does, I shouldn't say is what he says, because sometimes he talks a lot of what, but at the same time, his rhetoric didn't always match his actions. So he sometimes he talked a good game, but he didn't. But behind the scenes, he didn't necessarily do it as things like, let's say, as harshly as he spoke about it. But it was to, that whole, it was to decentivize behavior. Um, but don't try to defend it. When you're going to do it, just go, defend the policy. Don't defend the person. You know what? I tell people, I go straight to it, because this is the whole thing. If you just go and you take away their argument, because this is the whole thing. The first thing I always say, I did this to my mom this weekend. I said, look, yeah, is Trump an a-hole? Yeah, Trump's an a-hole. But I said, look, listen, do you want someone that you like, or do you want someone that's going to do the right thing? Because that's the thing. It doesn't matter if you're the most popular president, as long as you did a good job and you look what's going on. If you see what's going on now, it's a repeat of what happened under the Obama years. High gas prices, high food prices. It's just a repeat of what happened for 8 years. We're back here again because of bad policy. And that's how you go about showing them. So don't defend the person, just defend the policies. Tell them, before COVID, how was the economy doing? The economy was booming. You wanted a job, you could find a job. You know, wages were going up because, with the economy booming, they had to pay people more money. And now, with the economy flatlining, people want more money, but there's no more money to give people. So, anyways, look, I could just keep going and going, because I am excited about this year. I'm excited about where um, we're going to push the Republican Party, because I'm saying we now, because that's where I'm going with here. It's like, because I know I can't change the Democrats, so I'm going to work on the Republican Party from I'm going to help change. You know what? I'm going to, but I'm not a Puritan, but I know that there's certain policies that I want to change the GOP on. I'm coming at it from a libertarian point of view. That's what I was talking about with some of the people there. And surprisingly enough, the people agreed with me. That's surprising enough, especially when I talk about um, the failed drug war, and how the GOP has to give it up and just go, look, listen, we need to decriminalize uh, regular drugs, like hard drugs, like heroin, stuff like that, where we can't be sending a heroin user to jail. It's not one. It costs more money, because you have to jail them now. This is the whole thing. If you give them treatment and they succeed, you end up saving money. If you decriminalize it, you don't put the users in jail, you put the sellers in jail. So the people selling heroin and meth and all these pills, those are the people that go to jail, not the users. The users, we could end up with the money that let's say, for example, so we legalize marijuana, which, everyone knows someone who's used marijuana. Let's be realistic. If you haven't, you know someone who has. You legalize it, you tax it, you use those taxes on stuff that's underfunded, like education. You get people treatment for addiction, and you eliminate the prison budget, because you're not sending so many people to jail. You legalize it, you probably could get a lot of people out of jail, because you could um, people with marijuana sentences could come out, because we just legalized it. So there's no reason to be keeping, unless they're a violent uh, offender. But if they're just a drug user in jail, you could come and take them out. That saves the government money, because you're not spending money on crowded prisons. So just that one issue is a winning issue. It's something where you tell, the it will win in especially the poorer communities. Like, you have like the inner cities, and you have the poor rural folk. It's just, that one issue would be a winning issue for both sides, both the poor white people and the poor people of color, because those are the ones that get affected. It's not the middle class and the rich people, because I mean, I worked at law firms. If they want their coke, they get their coke. They don't go to jail for that. They'll be there. You see it, and they don't get in trouble for it. They don't drug test at they drug test. I remember one of my friends was smoking up, and he was there, and we were at a law firm. He's like, "Could you imagine if they drug tested here?" I go, "Yeah, if they drug tested here, half these lawyers would be gone," and that's the truth. So it's an issue that I feel passionate about, just because the fact that, you know, um, I have drugs affect my family. I have one uncle who died of AIDS, got it using drugs, and I got another uncle um, that it just lost potential. Both of them were lost potential. Both of them were great boxers. One, if anyone knows anything about Golden Gloves, one uncle won it. Another one of my uncles came in third place, and it was a controversial decision, because talking about in the '60s, when when racism was stronger than it is now, he lost a controversial decision to a white fighter. And so it is what it is. But you're talking about lost potential because drugs screwed up their life. So I'm not advocating this from a person that, who hasn't seen drugs ruin not only the life of relatives, but seeing how drugs ruin my community. Growing up in the Lower East Side in the '80s, I seen that the crack and the heroin epidemic, seeing people, uh, doing the junkie lean, where you're like, how the hell didn't they fall? And if you don't know what I'm talking, if you know I'm talking about, then if you don't, maybe you could Google it. Maybe you can see it on here on YouTube. I don't know. But anyways, I'm ranting because, like I said, I'm excited. I'm gonna leave it there. Follow me on here on YouTube or Rumble. If you can also follow me on social media, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, also Telegram, because I have a Telegram channel too, where I'm going to do a better job of sharing on there. So with that being said, um, well, have a good one, everyone.